goody. How you doing?
Are we doing Italian tonight?
It's Chinese. Well, I am doing an alternative Christmas lunch. Because there'll be people out there that are going to mix with their families. Government says you can. There'll be people out there like ourselves that won't celebrate Christmas. There'll be people out there that just be celebrating their households. It might just be two of them. So no point in roasting a turkey. No point in roasting a turkey anyway. It's fucking disgusting and boring. Get a chicken. So I'm going to do individual beef Wellingtons.
What do you need for that, Robert?
You show me. Come over here, Clive. Two lovely fillet steaks. Nice big fat bastards from the middle of the fillet. So go into a butcher. Don't buy meat from the supermarket, it's shit. Go into a butcher and get nice thick fillet steaks and season them. Salt and pepper beforehand. Get them up to room temperature. Cover them with a little bit of paper so the flies don't get to it. You'll need puff pastry. I've bought ready roll puff pastry. I've also got gluten-free puff pastry because the kids have special needs. She's also gluten intolerant. And you need to make, you don't need to make, but it's advisable to make thin savoury crepes to go inside because they absorb the juices and it stops your pastry dissolving. Okie dokie. To make the savoury crepes, if you're only making two, you only need one egg. So I've got one egg. Remember, when you crack an egg onto a flat surface, not onto a sharp surface, you end up with shell everywhere. You want to at least splash of milk. Got lactose-free milk. And I'll say 50 mils. Salt and pepper. Probably should just get out the Kunsel salt for this. That would probably go well. And just to give it a bit of extra flavour. Getting some dried thyme, just a wee sprinkling. Always give the egg and the milk a good beat before you add any flour. Parents, if you've got a teenage boy in the household, get him to beat the egg, he's got plenty of practice. Right, we're using buckwheat flour, but just standard plain flour is all you need. So, dessert spoon. 1, 2, I think might be enough. Yeah, that's going to be enough. So you want to let that rest for 2-3 minutes. Get a pan on it, a relatively hot heat. I mean, you can see it's hot enough that I can stick my hand gently in, but without keeping it there for too long. Want to get a wee knob of butter, rub it over the pan, and this should do 2 crepes. Okay, so your pan's up to temperature. If you want to use oil, by all means, but butter is going to give you a bit of colour. And literally a small number of butter, just rub it over the base of the pan. Let it melt. If you've got a butter paper or something like that, rub it over. Right. So the consistency of this has thickened because the flour has been absorbed. I want this to be really thin, so I'm just literally going to add a little bit of water. You can add more milk if you want, but basically you want it to be the consistency of single cream. Take a ladle out, this just makes it a little bit easier. So crepes. In England they call these pancakes, but they're a bit different down there. So, when you make a crepe, tilt your pan at an angle, pour the batter in at the top. And just keep moving the pan along. So it stops running. Simple as that. So I've got a couple of bits of greasy proof sitting here. You've got a palette knife. If you don't have a palette knife, try it with a spatula. So that fish slice. But you want to just cook this until it comes away easily, which this isn't yet. So it'll be about 2 minutes, and then we'll flip it over using your knife. So just gently prise it away from the ends. You can actually lift it up if you're lucky. Lift it over like that. Again, just until that's cooked, and then you want to remove it, put it on top of this grease proof, and then do another one. Okay, no. So just leave them there as they are. Got to give the pan a wee wipe out. Back on the heat, and I'm going to wilt some spinach, and this is also going to go. I do like spinach. Okay, dry pan, back on the heat. Want maybe a couple of handfuls of spinach. Looks a lot. Spinach really does wilt down. Small knob of butter just to help it along. And we turn the heat up because we want to get all the liquid to evaporate. A bit of salt will help with that. Blades pointing up the way is a good idea. And some pepper. And also what goes very well with spinach is nutmeg, so I've just got a wee bit of nutmeg here. Not to overpower it, because you don't want too many flavours going. Don't want too many flavours going into that beef Wellington. Want to taste the beef. So yeah, it's just a case of waiting until that wilts down. You need to get another bowl for it. You might even need to get a cloth to put it in and give it a good wring out. So yeah, that should take about 2-3 minutes. Okay, so all that's wilted down to this. It's just to give you an extra little flavour. So pop that into there. Keep the pan as it is, because the next thing you need to know, next thing you need to do, there's a lot of stuff, is to make a mushroom bruxelles. What is that, I hear you ask?
I was just about to say.
Yeah. It is. Fucking Google it. Right. Just like all these people on cooking groups on Facebook. And you can, on your recipes, mark with water. If you try Google instead of Facebook, you're clearly the internet. You three-headed flipping pamphlet. Right. So, putting that to one side, and that will absorb any liquid. So, your mushroom bruxelles. Mushrooms. A little bit of shallot. I've only got an onion, so you can just use the outer layers that are peeled. And you want some of my favourite thing in the whole world. Okay, take the pan off the heat to one side. Okay, then so you want to really finely slice your onion or your shallot. Finely dice it. So you get your nice finely diced onion on the side. Same with the garlic. haven't watched carpet cooking, hold the blade, don't hold the knife, to get a bit more control. Keep your fingers curved, so you're not cutting into them like that, you're cutting away from them, so you're literally getting the knife to go down your knuckle like that. Right, so and that is slicing as opposed to chopping, which is that. Slicing, chopping. So you just keep doing this. Keep your fingers on top of the blade at the pivot point. Just drop them through. When you're clearing your blade, always ever like that, for obvious reasons. Same when you're drying a knife, always dry it there. Drying it like this, you're not drying it like that. It's really important. It's just simple mistakes that people make. I've seen so many people cut their hands over the years I worked in kitchens. Where people just went, one young lad that I did work with completely cut through all the tendons in his fingers, and that was him goosed. Almost lost the use of his hand for the year. So, pan's back on the heat. Favourite ingredient other than garlic is the butter. I'm going to get your onions and garlic in first. A little bit of salt. Because what does the salt do?
Absorbs the moisture.
It draws out the moisture and stops it burning. Get them in just quickly, and then I'm going to add all this. It's quite a bit of work for something that's actually really quite easy. It's just a faff really.
Well, that's why you only do it once a year, right?
For Christmas. Right. You want to cook this until all the liquid has come out of your mushrooms, and then cook it even further until it's evaporated, and we'll put that in another dish. Right, I'm going to give this all a tidy up. We'll get ready for the next stage. Okay, you can see there. That's all the moisture pretty much out of there. Nice and dry. Take it off the heat. Again, there's a little pinch of dried thyme, a bit of chopped parsley, and a bit of thin knob of butter just to bring it together. Off the heat. I'm keeping the heat on because I'm going to wipe out this pan, and I'm going to use it for sealing the beef. Because even though it's getting cooked in pastry, it's really important to seal the beef. Okay. You want to get your pan up screaming hot. Now normally I wouldn't use a non-stick pan for cooking steaks. You actually want it to be a pan that's going to be able to take higher heats, and you're not supposed to put non-stick pans on full part of the heat. I'm washing the dishes, so beef fillet. It comes from the inside of the rib, the sirloin. And you do want to get this from a butcher because quite often you get it in the supermarket. Right along this muscle there's a sinew, which is technically the fascia, and a butcher would trim this off. You'll see there's just a small snippet of it there. That's not going to make much of a difference. So when you buy it from a supermarket, chances are that it's not been taken off, and what happens when you cook it and it's not been removed, it just contracts and makes the meat go tough. So definitely go for it. Go to a butcher. Support butchers. Butchers you think are more expensive. The fact of the matter is, yes, they cost you more for your meat. But if you buy a pound of meat from a butcher, if it's a good butcher, the butcher will have hung that meat for long enough that when you cook it, it's going to shrink less. If you buy a pound of meat from the supermarket, by the time it's cooked, you'll be lucky to end up with half a pound of meat. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabberings. So, you don't put oil in the pan when you cook a steak, you put oil on the steak, put the steak in the pan. So, I'm going to be use a good old council ale. Small bubble one. You want the flasher
I feel like I shouldn't be watching.
Right, anyway. So I've got plenty of lube on my meat and I'm giving it a quick bash. Right. You want to seal the edges first. You want to seal all the way around the edges and you want to seal the two ends. I'm going to put the fan on because it's going to be smoky. So you just want to give the meat a good brown. You're not cooking this steak, unless of course you like blue steak, which in my case I do, that would be cooked. You're just browning the outside of the meat and put it back on the plate and we'll come back to the next stage. Right. Beef has been sealed all the way around. A nice colour, but still very much rare. I'm going to put this to the side. Finished with this pan for the time being. I need to tidy up my area. Let the kitchen cool down a little bit, and I need to get my pastry out. And what's that noise?
I don't know, if a reindeer maybe.
I'll get my pastry out, roll it out, and I'll show you how to construct the beef Wellington. And once you've got yourself tidied up, you get your puff pastry from the fridge. I'm using ready rolled, it's handier. And you should just buy it. I mean, you can make your own puff pastry if you want. It's really just a hassle. This ready roll stuff you're probably going to need. It's pretty uneconomical to be honest, but it's Christmas, so people probably going to need one per person, which is pretty shite. So when I get this ready,
Maybe you could use the trimmings for other things.
could you? Right, so the first thing you need to do is you need to get your crepe onto your chopping board. Get your crepe onto the chopping board, and you want to get your beef. So put the beef in the fridge to chill it. It helps it set a little bit because you see the husband's
Calming down.
It is. It's calm down a bit. So I'll just show you one. Righty ho. So you got your crepe, you got your mushroom duxelle, you got your spinach. You don't have to go OTT. That was just a fridge part. So, oh, now, I forgot about this. If you want to enhance the flavour of your beef, you could use some blue cheese, which I'm going to do. So, I don't want a lot. I've got gorgonzola here, it's nice and soft. I'm just going to put a small spread in over the top. You don't have to do this. If you don't like the taste of Trump's cock in your mouth, then don't bother. Yeah, just a little bit of gorgonzola or any other blue cheese. Goes well with pork. Right, so spread that on. Put your spinach split into two. Spinach over the top. And you don't have to do this in the mushroom excel. Half of it, obviously, because this is 50% of a portion. And you want to kind of flap it in, turn it over. Your hands are quick white. Your steak in the middle. Wrap this crepe around it. The same with the other one. Get the puff pastry out. You can wrap it in there. So, yeah, it doesn't look pretty. But hey, I ain't pretty, neither is my food. It's bloody tasty. Right, got my pastry out. You're going to need an egg for making a pastry stick. You're going to need to glaze it. So rather than wasting 2 eggs, we're just going to use the white for joining the pastry and the yolk for glazing. So split an egg, again, flat surface, comes in, there you go, simple as that. Use the shell, you get people to do it with their hands, these people are use minkers. Right, start the shell. We put the yolk to one side, just going to heat up the bite a little bit. Season it as well. The reason for beating the egg whites is because if you go and try and brush it a little bit on, you'll end up with a whole lot. You know, it's like going into a saloon back in the old days in the Wild West and taking a sip out of the spittoon and end up with a whole mouthful. You've only taken a sip, but it's like that big lung oyster. So, I'm going to divide the pastry in half. About. Put your steak into the middle, into the bigger half. And the pastry brush. I'm going to just. There's my taxi. Brush around there. Get on top. The words of Tommy Cooper. You want to keep this quite tight. You can flour your hands if you want. I'm kind of wishing I had. But you want to make sure there's no air in between the pastries. So, using pressure all the way around. Trim it off and we'll come back. Yeah, so you need to use a bit of flour around your steak. Make sure that it's nicely sealed. And you've got a big enough bowl. Pop the bowl over the top. Even pressure. And just peel your pastry off. You could find uses for this pastry, like filling a bin would be one use. And that's one use I can think of.
Well, that's just wasteful.
It is, it's just terrible.
During these times, you should
The
be thinking
planet,
of ways
just
to
the
save
think
money.
under, yeah.
Shut up.
Okay, doke. I've done them. As you can see, regular gluten-free. In order to get a nice shine on your pastry, get egg yolk, and you want to put some salt in it. Good bit of salt. I mean, that's probably a level teaspoon. Pastry brush. And mix that. I've added a little bit of water just to make this go fine. So, just the yolk. coat this liberally all over your pastry. And if you're like me, you've got a gluten-free version, you're going to have to mark them differently. So I'll put S and N for special use. Back end of a knife, just going to go crisscross, using gravity. Like so. You want to poke a little hole in it, just to allow steam to escape, and then we'll put in there. And then, of course, special needs, you want to make it clean. A little hole in there. Lovely little back to the little palette knife. Get this onto your tray that's for going in the oven. Line lightly with grease paper. And this needs to go in the fridge to rest for at least a good 25-30 minutes.
Could you make this the day before?
Absolutely, absolutely. Probably better to be honest, because I've not had alcohol in a month and I've now had half a bottle of port. So if you're like me on Christmas Day, you're going to get wankered. Probably a good idea. Probably a good idea that you get this ready. Anyway, I'm going to tidy myself up and my area and get the vegetables on.